Welcome back. Is this getting old for you yet? Winning, I mean.
No, this is my favorite part. Never gets old.
So what did you think of your performance?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I followed my game plan that I had set in my head. With that being said, I wasn't expecting to be so off-balanced by the foot sweeps, so that was a surprise. That was something that I'm going to have to go back and look at, a little small hole in my game. But that's the good thing about competing against, number one ranked guys in the world, right? They're going to show you some small holes in your game and things you need to work on. But with that being said, I got taken down at a time that there was no points, so I don't know if that would have played out the same. He tried as well to take me down in the points period, I think, and I was able to pop back up. So all in all, yeah, he got off a little more offense than I would have liked, but can't complain. He's a tough competitor. He won double gold at the Nogi Worlds at black belt. He won the absolute division. He has wins over some of the best guys in the world, and I was able to get the win. And not only get the win, but get the submission, which was something that I talked about a lot. I really wanted to get the submission, and I accomplished that. So I can't be too hard on myself. I gotta at least enjoy it a little bit.
I don't watch a ton of jiu-jitsu, so this question may sound weird, but it seemed a little bit more violent than normal. Like he seemed a little bit more violent.
Oh, yeah.
Slapping and kicking and that sort of thing. Is that normal for you? I mean,
I like that. So, he started kicking me and smacking me, and I was smacking him back. We were headbutting each other. You could taste your own blood a little bit. I used to do MMA, so for me, it's all good, Let's freaking scrap. So it was fun, man. And I thought that if the match turned out that way, violent, more of like a fight, I thought that would favor me because I have the experience in MMA. I've been in real fights. I had a lot of hours sparring, so I've been kicked in the legs before. It's all good. I didn't let it get to me. I stayed composed. I was able to come out on top, so it's all good.
So that didn't surprise you from him?
No, he always kind of competes like that. He's a scrappy dude, so no surprise.
I know we talked a little bit yesterday about who you want to compete against next. Has that changed since yesterday? Because it seems like it's changed for Marigali. So I'm just wondering if it's changed for you, if you still are interested in that match, or if you're interested in something else. What's kind of on your horizon? Yeah,
I think in Marigali's post-fight interview, I think he wants Craig or Nikki the same as me. Both of us want to get one of those matches just because it's such a big match. It's no disrespect to either one of those guys. Me and Craig already have a history. We've competed against each other 3 times. So I'm not sure if Craig really I'm hearing Craig might not even compete again. So I don't know how much Craig wants to compete. So I know Nikki wants to compete. I know Nikki's agreed to compete against me before. I know the UFC has asked for that matchup before. The UFC seems to really like that matchup. So, they take care of me. Steven, Claudia, everyone here takes care of me. So if they want the match with Nicky Rod, even though he's much bigger than me, if that's the match that they want, then I would be okay with doing that next. I think it's an exciting match, and I'm here to test myself against the best guys in the world. So whether it's, I think I would prefer the match with Nikki than Marigali because it seems that Nikki's more popular. When I talk to everyday people that don't really know jiu-jitsu, they always ask about Gordon, Craig, and Nicky Rod. So Marigali's of course, he's very popular, but I think the everyday person knows the name Nicky Rod more so than Marigali.
When you say Craig may not compete again, is it here at UFC Fight Pass or wherever?
No, I'm not sure. I mean, he's been very successful outside of competition. So he has a great personality. He has a great brand that he's built for himself. And I just don't know if it makes sense for him to really compete that much anymore. And if he does, it seems like he likes to go more of the route of competing against UFC guys and other names outside of the sport. I was watching one of his podcasts where he talked about maybe not even doing the next ADCC. So I can't speak for him. It would be up to him. But from what I'm hearing, it's probably unlikely that that's going to happen from the vibe that I'm getting.
Did you get a chance to watch the 3 matches after you?
I saw bits of Nicky Rod and Roberto. It looked like a really good match. And then I was able to see the match with Craig and Lovato as well.
What did you think of those? I mean, you just said what you thought of Nicky's, but what did you think of the main event?
Yeah, Craig's really talented, and he blitzes right away when he competes. And if you're not careful, if you let him get into any kind of leg entanglement, he usually gets the submission. So Craig has amazing jiu-jitsu. He's very, very technical. People kind of hate on him for getting second place and stuff like that, but he has very, very good jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, it looked great.
Thank you.
Mason, to your left. I got to ask you, so you mentioned that the foot sweeps got your attention, but what caught my attention was the head bobbing. When you guys got in the clinch and you was bouncing your head up and down, did you make anything of that in the moment, or was that just kind of just slipped your mind, you're still going at what you wanted to get done?
Yeah, he was shaking my head, and it was kind of like making me dizzy a little bit, but I was thinking like, man, this guy, he's using so much energy. That's why I wasn't really like, if you noticed, when he would be real aggressive and do these like really athletic, like strong, explosive movements, I wasn't giving into it. I just kept playing my game, touching him, pulling down on his head, faking at the legs. So I just kept my composure. Every time he did some really strong movement to me, I knew he was using energy. So I wasn't getting mad like, oh, this guy's pulling on my head. I was thinking like, oh yeah, keep on pulling. It's all good. You're gonna get tired, you know. So yeah, pretty much just went the way I thought it would. It was a tough scrap, but it did take a little bit longer than I thought for him to get tired. You know, once we hit the overtime, I was thinking like, dang, I'm pretty tired too. You know, I wonder how tired he is. But yeah, I was able to score at the end, and so that's what counts.
Earlier you mentioned about the physicality, the mind games. Care to elaborate on that a little bit? I was just curious, you know, you're mentioning the head bobbing, you're mentioning you were trying to fatigue him and try to tire him down. It took a little bit longer. Was there anything, not only that just surprised you, but that you were trying to get done, you're like, oh, I finally got to this point?
Yeah, I have a pretty good snap down. And one thing that I was really thinking about a lot is that it would be nice to get a snap down and attack off of that, because his guillotine is so dangerous, right? So if I was able to get a snap down into my own guillotine attempt, or get a snap down and use that to score, like get around to the back or something like that, that would be much smarter than having to shoot in on him where I'm exposing my own neck. So that was the game plan the first 10 minutes. I just wasn't, he has a really strong neck and he stands really tall, so it was hard to get into any type of snap down position. So that's why I was like, okay, you know, I figured I was down on the judge's decision at that point, because he hit a couple nice foot sweeps on me, and I didn't get too much offense going on. So I thought that the momentum was in his favor. So at that point, I had to go ahead and shoot in. And at that point, it's like, all right, if I get guillotine, I get guillotine, but I got to make something happen.
I felt like in this invitational, there were a lot of the matches that ended up near the end of the mat and provided a lot of ref stoppages. For you, did you feel like that gave you more advantage or disadvantage in terms of allowing yourself to get more grip or kind of lose the grip that you had in that moment?
Yeah, I personally didn't like any time the match stopped in this case, because my goal was to get him tired, you know? So when the ref even stopped us and told us, like, all right, guys, stop being so physical, I was like, all right, come on, let's go. Like, I didn't want to let him get any breaks. And like I said, even though I myself was getting fatigued, I know that I can perform under that fatigue. And so I wanted to just drag both of us into deep water and just see who would survive.
Well, looks like you survived. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Hey, Mason, I just want to ask you, obviously, last time we saw you, you faced off with Gordon. I'm pretty sure that was like the plan going forward, and then he comes out and says he's not competing until ADCC. How bummed were you that you weren't going to grapple him?
Yeah, I was super bummed, especially the training camp that I had for the match the first time. We flew out Victor Hugo, who obviously you guys have seen. He's an amazing competitor. He's one of the probably top 3 pound-for-pound guys right now in no-gi. We flew him out. We got a lot of good training in with him, and I had a perfect training camp. So that's the thing that sucks the most, right? Is I don't know if I'll ever be able to really replicate that training camp. And you know, it was a 25-minute match. I was in shape to go 25 minutes. You know, I was going with fresh guys every 2 minutes for 25 minutes straight, and I had a really good training camp. So that first time he dropped out, I was super bummed. And then obviously he announced that he's not going to be coming back anytime soon. And at that point, my mindset just switched, because I have been really kind of selective in the competitions that I had been doing leading up to the Gordon match, because I didn't want to risk losing a match and then losing all the fans attention, and all the fans really were wanting to see that match between me and him. And I figured that if I took a loss against someone, maybe someone Gordon had beat before or something like that, then all of a sudden the fans are going to say, oh, we don't want to see that anymore, right? So I was being a little more selective in the competitions I was doing because I had that Gordon match already lined up. And at this point, I just got to a point where I'm like, hey, man, I'm 31. I don't want to sit around and wait for Gordon because I may never get the match. So let's just take this time and let's just challenge ourselves and go after some of the top guys.
Is ADCC still a plan?
Yeah, I definitely want to compete in the next ADCC. I got my official invite, so I'm definitely going to do ADCC. And besides ADCC, I don't know if I'll do any other competitions just because I like the Fight Pass Invitational so much. So I'll probably just stick to Fight Pass and ADCC for now.
Congrats.
Thank you.
How was the transition like for you going from the MMA scene to just strictly the jiu-jitsu scene? I know you even went undefeated across your amateur and pro career.
Yeah, I think it was really a blessing that it went that way. I know it's kind of backwards. Most people don't start with MMA. They start with kind of one of the other sports and then go into MMA. But obviously the experience of going into an MMA fight will help you a lot for jiu-jitsu because the stakes are so high in MMA and the adrenaline is so high and you're so nervous, right? So when you go from that, like being able to perform in that environment under that level of stress, and then I started going to these jiu-jitsu tournaments like the Pan Ams and the Worlds and Nogi Worlds. That's how I kind of started off with my jiu-jitsu career. I felt like I had an advantage over all the other guys in competition experience, even though I hadn't competed in as many jiu-jitsu tournaments as them. Like maybe I had done 10 jiu-jitsu tournaments and some of the other guys had done 100 already. But I still had the advantage in competition because I was under those super high stress environments. So, and then obviously coming here to the Fight Pass Invitational where it's on a stage and it's a super fight, a lot of jiu-jitsu guys aren't used to that. They're used to being at a tournament setting. But I've been doing competitions like that since I was 19 years old in cages with a guy trying to knock me out, right? So I think it definitely helped with the experience. And then on top of that, just the physicality. Like you saw tonight, me and Pedro were just scrapping, and a lot of jiu-jitsu guys will just fold under that pressure. You don't see a lot of, jiu-jitsu's like the gentle art. Guys come and pull guard and do like barambolos and stuff like that. And then if you really start to put the pressure on them and get real physical with them, sometimes they'll break. But for me, obviously, I'm used to doing MMA, so it's just a lot harder of a sport.
Another site for you is on the Fight Pass Invitational events and in the fall for ADCC, but would you ever dip your toes back into the MMA scene one day?
I don't think so, just because I'm 31 now, and my goal before was to fight in the UFC. That was like my 100% life's plan. I put everything into that, and at this point now I'm 2-0 as a pro, so realistically if I wanted to make it to the UFC, it would take 3 years of doing like local cards and making like $500, $1,000, training full time. It just doesn't make sense when I have this platform to compete on.
Congratulations.
Thank you.